If you run a company like I do, you spend a fair amount of time in airports. I can confidently say that I visited more airports than I'd like to count. However, I should probably add that flying in on a private jet is a bit different than your typical airport experience. People often bash the airport experience, and I must admit, going through TSA and packing your bags, waiting on delayed flights, it's all a bit tedious. That being said, airports have dramatically improved since the first commercial airport was created way back in 1907. Today, there are airports with waterfalls inside them, airports with 5-star dining, airports with surfing. I mean, there are airports that can even serve as part of your vacation, not just an annoying pit stop along the way. And that's why today, we're going to take a look at the most superlative airports. We'll do a flyover and see the largest and the busiest, taking in all they have to offer and how much they cost to build and operate. The largest airport in terms of area. For starters, let's take a look at the two largest airports in terms of area. The second largest airport in the world is none other than Denver International Airport, just outside of Denver, Colorado. However, in my book, there are two other superlatives that Denver Airport can claim as well: the world's creepiest airport and the airport with the most conspiracy theories behind it. Because, well, let's face it, this statue isn't exactly inviting you to hop on a plane and head to a tropical destination. If that destination was, say, in the underworld, then it might be a bit more fitting. Since opening in 1995, the airport has been the center of a maelstrom of conspiracy. Some even say that it was created to house the elite in case of the apocalypse. And while I don't have any evidence to these claims, I can tell you about the pure size of this monstrous airport. The airport spans 34,000 acres, or 53.12 square miles. So what does it have on that insane amount of land? Well, for starters, it has North America's longest public-use runway, which is 16,000 feet long. For reference, that means the runway is nearly double the length of the Golden Gate Bridge. Building an airport of that size wasn't exactly easy. The construction ran 16 months over the original estimate and $2 billion over budget. In the end, the airport cost a whopping $4.8 billion to build, the equivalent of $8.19 billion today. The spooky, massive, expensive airport's main terminal has 6 floors, and there are 3 concourses. The concourses can be accessed via trains, and one of the concourses can be accessed via a large walking path. So how does the size of the airport serve it? Well, actually fairly well. The airport is the 5th busiest in the United States. It offers non-stop service to over 200 destinations and services 23 different airlines. Now, Denver sounds pretty massive, but it's a tiny blip on the radar compared to the largest airport in the world, King Fahd International Airport. King Fahd International is located northwest of Dammam, Saudi Arabia. The airport was originally a United States airbase that was used during the Gulf War, but it began offering commercial flights in 1999. Since then, it has grown to be the 3rd largest airport by passenger volume in Saudi Arabia, and I think it's pretty much unbeatable as the largest airport by area in the world. And why is that? Because this airport spans 776 square kilometers, which is about 299 square miles, almost the exact size as New York City. And if an area the size of New York City seems excessive for an airport, well, that's probably because it is. According to the airport's website, out of the 776 square kilometers, only 36.75 square kilometers are being used, and the actual main airport terminal is even smaller, comprising of only 0.327 square kilometers, meaning the main airport terminal only takes up to 4% of the airport's area. That being said, the airport's largest buildings come with a lot of surprises. There is a terminal known as the Royal Terminal, reserved just for the royal family. It is dressed with luxurious furnishings, and despite its intended purpose, it's reported that the royal family actually rarely uses it, opting for another airport nearby instead. The airport has a beautiful mosque building that has been constructed on top of the parking lot. It can accommodate up to 2,000 worshippers and can be accessed via 2 enclosed air-conditioned bridges. Also, something a bit unusual that the airport has is its own nursery. The nursery includes 3 greenhouses and 36,400 square meters of green fields. The nursery was created and is maintained to supply the airport constantly with fresh greenery. The largest terminal. Now that we've covered land area, I think it's time we get to the fun stuff. The largest airport terminal in in the world. After all, when we're talking about big airports, we're normally picturing moving sidewalks galore, fancy elevators, and indoor trams. The largest airport terminal in the world is located at Beijing Daxing International Airport. Beijing Daxing was created precisely because the other airport in Beijing, Beijing Capital International Airport, was reaching its full design capacity. So, what did the city do? They made an airport terminal that could support the current population and then some. Beijing's Daxing's main terminal is 7.5 million square feet. The massive building took almost 5 years to complete and is estimated to have cost around $17 billion to construct. It was certainly no small feat, but Beijing desperately needed to expand its passenger capacity. And that being said, if the airport were to run at its full capacity, it would be one of the busiest airports in the world, serving up to 100 million passengers a year. However, in the 4 months in 2019 that the airport was operating, it saw about 3.1 million passengers. The airport is certainly an airport of the future. It is beautifully light, featuring smooth curved lines and use of white and cream walls and features. Perhaps one of the coolest features in the airport, however, is the Chinese Garden. This outside space features traditional Chinese architecture with a pond and bridges, creating a tranquil space for people to relax and breathe before their long flight. The busiest airport in the world. I couldn't end this video without discussing the world's busiest airport. And if you've ever trudged your way through this airport, this fact certainly shouldn't surprise you. The busiest airport in the world is none other than Hartsfield-Jacksonville Atlanta International Airport, and it has held that title for 22 years. In 2018, the Atlanta airport saw 107 million passengers. On average, the airport sees over 100 million passengers per year, or about 275,000 passengers per day, which is a little more than half the population of Atlanta itself. And the physical size of this airport isn't anything to scoff at either. The terminal and concourse takes up 6.8 million square feet, which isn't that far behind Beijing Daxing. There are 192 gates, comprising of 152 domestic gates and 40 international. The airport is also home to the world's largest airport hub, serving as the main hub for Delta Airlines. Delta has over 1,000 flights per day out of Atlanta, journeying to 225 different locations. That means nearly half of the airport's daily flights are Delta flights. So, there you have it, the biggest and busiest airports in the world.